Hello, welcome back to Bible Bears. I'm Ryder Cullison. So, is Trump the antichrist? Now, the reason I'm even broaching this topic is because obviously we have an election coming up, and it seems every few years, every American president is accused of being the antichrist. I heard about it when George W. was in office, and then I remember watching it was a debate between two theologians. They were talking about the rapture. They each had different views on the rapture. The rapture meaning when at the end of times, when the body of Christ, the church, is taken, swept away, raptured from the earth. And they had differing viewpoints, but someone called in and said, "Hey, do you guys know who the Antichrist is?" And they said, "Oh, we've got a pretty good idea who the Antichrist is." And they said, the caller said, and these two guys were British, and the caller was like, "Is it Obama?" And they said, no, it's not Obama. But they refused to name who the Antichrist was because why put a target on your back? And I'm pretty sure ever since Hitler came to power, every few years we've been scanning the earth for who the Antichrist might be. I don't know, maybe they do it to their leaders in Britain. Maybe someone thought Tony Blair was the Antichrist when he joined us to invade Iraq. Maybe someone thinks Angela Merkel from Germany is the Antichrist. I'm sure at least one or two people have accused Putin of being the Antichrist, or maybe Xi Jinping or some other barbaric world leader. But American world leaders typically at some point or another are always accused of being the Antichrist just because we're from America, which is a bit of an egotistical attitude that we have because obviously we're so important. The Antichrist has to come from our country. So I'm going to give you a few reasons, few descriptions, characteristics rather, of the Antichrist, and then we're going to apply them to President Trump and determine whether he is indeed the Antichrist. So real quick, for those of you who never attended Sunday school, although I never really taught, I don't teach about the Antichrist in my classes, but most of you probably, at least through pop culture, have learned about who the Antichrist is. This is basically a person living on earth in whom Satan will imbue powers, Satan will give the Antichrist, and I suppose it could be a woman. Let's not be sexist here. Satan will give this person power and authority to do many things on earth. Now, this person, hence the name Antichrist, will stand opposed to Christ. Christ as in Jesus, the Son of God. So, without further ado, here are some of the characteristics. All right, he claims to be God and is worshipped. So the Antichrist will make an appearance on earth. Many people, I will tell you, many pastors think the Antichrist is alive and well right now. The show that I was watching, it was an online show where they were talking about the rapture. Those two theologians believe they didn't actually identify gender, but they believe the Antichrist is alive. As you know, as I suggested, they both said they thought they knew who it was, or they have an educated guess. So, the Antichrist might be on earth right now, which is kind of a scary thought, but we have to be prepared for that. So, he claims to be God and is worshipped. Okay, so as egotistical as Trump can appear to be sometimes, and as narcissistic as he can appear to be, he has yet to claim that he is God. And yes, though he likes the adoration and appreciation of others, I don't think we can quite go to him saying that he wants to be worshipped. Also, he has given God credit for many things, and he is pushing many agendas which would seem very anti-Christ-like. Okay? So, agendas like when he was talking about the economy, saying, I'm giving credit to God for God's going to help me rebuild the economy. Keeping prayer, recognizing the prayer, He would like to see prayer in schools, praying for victims of the Iowa tornadoes, things of that nature. The Antichrist will not be doing. He will not be praying to God. Okay? And this leads us into characteristic number 2. He will blaspheme God. So, this person, Trump is not, whether you just think Trump is pandering to get votes, we have not seen anything that suggests he is blaspheming God. Now, maybe he does that privately, but that's not what the Antichrist is going to do. This person is going to blaspheme God openly. And we see our culture going more and more towards that trend. I don't know if you've been paying attention to the news. The media's kind of buried this, but 2 of the Democratic caucuses, the LGBT caucus and the Islamic caucus, and I really don't know how caucuses work, but leading up to the convention this week, each caucus said the Pledge of Allegiance, and they left out under God out of the Pledge of Allegiance. So there's video of that. Go look it up online. You'll find it. I think it was probably pretty deliberate because all of us know the Pledge of Allegiance, so you have to consciously omit under God from the Pledge of Allegiance. And we know that that particular party has declared themselves as the party of the religiously non-affiliated. If you watch my other videos, we see Bibles burning in Portland. There's just general lawlessness going on. A lot of churches feel persecuted here. That's really nothing compared to the persecution that we are seeing in other parts of the world. Look at my video about Nigerian persecution. Those people, Christians over there, are being slaughtered by the dozens. They're being harassed and attacked by Hindus. Christians and Muslims are really being cracked down on in China. So we see a lot of religious oppression. So it won't be that surprising, really, to see a leader on the national stage boldly come out and blaspheme God, because God stands in opposition to the way that our culture is shifting. Our morals are becoming looser. We want so many freedoms, and we really don't want to live by the standard that God has set for us. All right, so moving on. He will display miraculous powers. I don't think any one of Trump's critics, President Trump's critics, would accuse him of being miraculous. So I think we could just move on from there. The Antichrist comes back to life. Well, so what's going to happen is the Antichrist is going to be mortally wounded, and there's going to be a miraculous healing, and he is going to come back, okay? So the scripture says he's going to order an image set up in his honor, and he's going to be wounded by the sword and live. So this is in Revelation. Obviously, if Trump is elected to another 4 years, this is possible. He could be wounded by an assassination attempt. Look how angry people are now. Imagine if he's elected to another 4 years. There's going to be a lot of frustration. So, yes, there is a possible attack on him, but to come back to life, the jury's still out on that. We'll just have to wait and see, but I think he's already been eliminated by the first 3 things. So if he's elected to another 4 years and he claims to be God, he blasphemes God, he displays suddenly miraculous powers, and he comes back to life, all of you better stand up and pay attention, even those of you who don't believe in God, who may be watching this. All right, so the Antichrist will rule with full authority. So Satan's going to give the Antichrist authority not just over the U.S., which I know you guys think is the most important country in the world, but lots of other important places out there. The Antichrist is going to have authority over the U.S., over all the nations of the world. So clearly that's a long ways away for Trump, because I don't see Russia or China or the Middle East ceding authority to him anytime soon. I don't see it happening even if he is elected to another 4 years. So, no good for there. The Antichrist will control the world's economy. Yeah, I know lots of you think perhaps with this trade war and and some of Trump's wheeling dealing that he'll take control of the economy. I don't think that's happening anytime soon. So let's scratch that off our list. The Antichrist desecrates God's temple. Okay, so I've kind of talked about this in one of my other videos. I'll put a link to it above. But God's temple originally stood in Jerusalem. This was the large Jewish temple. And in 70 AD, the Romans, angry, destroyed the temple. The temple was not rebuilt, and where it once stood, now stands the Dome of the Rock, which is basically a mosque, one of the most holy sites in Islam. You can't desecrate a temple that isn't there, and that temple is only going to be rebuilt if the Dome of the Rock is somehow destroyed. And it's not going to be destroyed by the Jews or the Christians, and I don't see Islam, the Muslims, destroying it anytime soon. So, unless that temple somehow gets destroyed and rebuilt by the Jews, which will create so much ire and anger from the Muslims, I mean, it's going to be calamitous. It's supposed to happen, but I don't see that happening within the next 4 years. So without a temple to desecrate, scratch that off your list. Trump can't be the Antichrist. So the Antichrist attempted destruction of Israel. Right now, Trump supports Israel. Okay? So the Antichrist is going to lead these armies to crush Israel, which people have been trying to do for centuries, especially since they went back to Israel and reclaimed the Holy Land. So Trump's been a supporter of Israel. We saw him move the embassy to Jerusalem. Great thing. I was very happy with that. So I don't see that happening. I don't see him launching a campaign against Israel, especially when he's so much at odds with Russia or China. Yeah, I know a lot can change quickly, but I just don't see it happening. And causes the earth's armies to fight against Christ. We're a long ways away because he doesn't even have total authority. So I don't see him being the commander-in-chief of any African armies, certainly not China's, certainly not Egypt's or Iran or Iraq's, certainly not Russia's. Yeah, I know you guys think he and Putin are best friends, but they really aren't. Really are not. Putin and Xi Jinping, those two guys are close. I mean, like, really close. Way closer than Trump is to them. So don't listen to what anybody else is telling you about that. And then the Antichrist's final destination will be in the lake of fire. Yeah, that's going to be at the end. Now, here's the thing. In order for all this to happen, the rapture's going to have to come. If you believe in a pre-tribulation rapture, the rapture will come. Then the Antichrist will be ruling for 3.5 years of peace. And then there'll be 3.5 years of just hell on earth. 7-year period. That's the tribulation period. So Trump's term is only 4 years. So I guess it's possible that at some point during those 4 years, he becomes the supreme commander of the whole world and takes control of all the nations and extends his term. I guess when you're supreme commander of the world, you can serve as long as you want. But considering how many people dislike Trump in his own country, I just don't see that happening. So, to answer your question, no. It seems incredibly unlikely that Trump is the Antichrist. And you know what? The Antichrist likely will not come from the United States. Very possibly it could be the Antichrist will rise up through the political ranks. That's what's believed by many. But this person very well could be coming out of the Middle East or somewhere else. Does not have to be the US. So, if you don't agree with me, and your hatred is so powerful that you just know that President Trump has to be the Antichrist, put your comments in the section below. I'd love to hear from you. Let's just all be nice and gentle. But if you think you know who the Antichrist is, put those below. Maybe you don't name that person by name. Anyway, if you think you know who the Antichrist is, put it in the comments below. You don't have to name names, but let's narrow it down to a country. I'd be very interested in hearing your thoughts on this. As always, if you like this video, give me a thumbs up, click like, share, and subscribe, and that bell notification so that you will be alerted when I post new videos, okay? So, yes, I disagree with Trump on many issues. No, I don't think he's the Antichrist, and I will be voting for him in November. For all those of you who watch my videos who are worried that I might be voting for Biden-Harris. I just can't get over the pro-death abortion stance that they have. Anyway, love you guys. Have a blessed week.